see my reflection in that photograph, beautiful photograph. Today I wanted to honor my great-grandmother, Miss Rose, and my grandmother, Miss Roseanne. My great-grandmother passed away a couple years back, actually 10 years ago, and my grandmother just passed away this August on the 28th around 4 a.m. and I had just talked to her and my dad, who had flown down there in time to be with her. And walking around our place, just doing daily chores, I see bits of my grandmother throughout our place, and I kept getting really emotional, and I just wanted to do this little video for myself, but also for my grandmother and her mother, because I love them very much. So, my great-grandmother and my grandmother, their name was Roseanne, and they wanted my name to be Rose. I was the first grandchild and the first girl and only girl to be born, so they wanted that name, but my parents had already chosen the name Maya, so they decided to go with Maya Rose. And I've just brought together here all this stuff that my grandmother has given me. We're gonna keep their picture there. I'm already tearing up a little bit, but okay, I'll get started. So we have here this beautiful wooden box. My grandmother would collect a bunch of wooden things, like wooden spoons, wooden bird boxes, anything like that, so that she could paint them. She never painted this, and I don't know if I have the heart to paint it yet, but someday I would like to. And inside are these essential oils. So there's this little plastic Ziploc bag here, so that the essential oils don't go everywhere. So my grandmother used to be a beautician in New York, and then in her later career she became a masseuse, and she gave me these one year I was over at her place. This is cedar wood. We've got yang yang. Is that how you say it? Sorry, rosemary. These are all 15 milliliters. Some of them are not even opened, actually. Tangerine. Clove buds. Lavender. Bergamot. Lemongrass. Spruce. I'm gonna put these back in here on this side. Oh, this smells really nice. Geranium. Grapefruit pressed. Patchouli with a Y. Orange with an O. Marjoram. Clary sage. Everything smells really nice. I mean, the ones that are opened. So my grandmother was a Reiki master, she traveled to many places throughout America. She would go to sweat lodges. So my grandmother's side, they're Italian American immigrants, and my grandmother told me, she was raised by her grandparents who were Italian, and they would speak to her in Italian at home all the time, and on Fridays they would ask her if she wanted to go see the pictures or stay at home drinking wine. And she was about like 8 to 10 years old, and she would say, I want to stay home and have wine. Because I remember one time she offered me like a glass, like a sip of wine, and I was about 8 or 9, and I was just like, no. And she told me that story, and I was like, oh, okay. I don't think she like drank a lot by any means, but it was just like, a nice little glass of wine for a child. But it's part of the culture, and it's not like she was an alcoholic or anything, but they know how to enjoy their food and wine, right? So my grandmother, a very religious woman, just Catholic, as Italians are. And this is her patron saint. And she gave this to me too, maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. This is Saint Kateri Tekakwitha. I apologize for not getting the name right. And this is her prayer. Loving God, we celebrate Saint Kateri Tekakwitha, Lily of the Mohawks, as one of your son's most faithful followers. Help us to turn away all evil and walk in her footsteps, sharing our love and concern with others. Let us revere your mystical presence in the poor and suffering as did she. Through Kateri's powerful intercession, we confidently ask you to grant us the special favor we ask for in her name. And then in parentheses it says, mention your intentions. Share your healing and peace, especially with family, friends, and the sick, whom we commend to your loving care. We ask this through your crucified and risen Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, the eternal Word who lives with you forever and ever. Amen. That was our patron saint, and this is part of a rosary that it broke, so this is not the whole piece. I just have one part of it here. And this is for my, this is from my little brother's patron saint. I forgot who his patron saint was at the moment, but my grandmother gifted this to me in a pouch. So I keep it here in this oyster shell, because she used to at one point live in Florida, where just across the beach, and she had these huge bowls, like 2 bowls outside her trailer house. I love that house. It's so beautiful. Anyway, so she had these 2 huge bowls around her house, and it was just oyster shells and all kinds of shells, but she would make dolls out of these oyster shells, and some of them were like customized from people that would order from her. And I keep this in my little shrine here. I have a bunch of other stuff, but that's for another video. But that was specifically from my grandmother. And then we she painted this rose for me. I don't remember when she gave this to me, but I've had it for a very long time. And she always said she was not good at art and she didn't, have like a good sense of art or like painting, but I disagree. My dad and I would always tell her she's very talented, but she would just kind of laugh it off, This is she gifted me this ring. It's very beautiful, purple color with silver. And then this turtle ring. This turtle ring was my great-grandmother's ring. It's very cute. Or I think it was hers. I don't quite remember. I'll have to ask my dad and see if he knows. And then he gifted these rings to me. Or not rings. These clip-on earrings for when I got married. And I'm not sure who these belong to exactly, if it was my Nana's or my grandmother's, but they're little silver and black and gold, which I think makes a really nice combination. And then my favorite and most treasured ring is this black obsidian with a little silver in the middle. Not silver, but it's not a diamond, but so this was passed down to all the women in my dad's side, so my grandfather's side. So it was gifted to all the wives, basically, and my grandmother gave it to my mother. But when my parents got divorced, my mother felt bad for keeping it, so she gave it back to my grandmother, because she was no longer married and not like legally part of the family, so years later, fast forward, 6 years later, I think, my grandmother gave it to me. And I didn't know about that. I didn't know my mom had that ring. But she saw me wear this ring like a year or two ago. And she was like, oh my gosh, I remember that. So, interesting little story. And then, let's see, we have this Anita's Textile Medium. Makes regular acrylics permanent for painting on fabric. My grandmother took this out for me, and because she used to like painting on t-shirts, and she would use this on top. So I have a bunch of like blank tote bags and t-shirts to paint on, but I just haven't had the time. So I've never actually opened this, but I have it out just to sit down and paint, but I think I'll do a video with that. And then back here we have this painting that my grandmother did for when my first child was born. And she wrote, "Love and blessings to my first great grandchild, Grandma Roseanne, 2018. And I usually have this in my daughter's room. This is yellow and red, like a pink flower and a blue flower. I don't know if you just heard that, but there's a lot of background noise, as always. And we have here this, I don't know, quite a nice piece of wooden photograph. This is of my my grandmother, Roseanne. Isn't that so cool? She made this. And it says down here, it's hard to read, Grandma Roseanne, October 28th, 1934. Isn't that amazing? Okay, you can barely see that, but yeah, there we go. 10, I think that's a 2. Yeah, because at first I thought it was a 3, but that wouldn't make sense. 2834 is 1934. Is my baby grandma. This is really special. So she made this for my daughter as well. And then we have this green book over here. I don't know what happened to the cover, but this was from my grandmother, and it's called Maya and the Town That Loved a Tree. It's a really long book, so I won't read it right now, but I can do a separate video just reading this book because I think it's very nice. But I'll just show you the inside. And I think this would be beautiful wallpaper. And it says January January 1994 to Maya Rose. May you always embrace the wonders of life's stories. As I embrace you, my granddaughter, with love and tenderness. God bless you, Grandma. So Maya and the Town That Loved a Tree. Story by Kiki and Catherine Shaw. Artwork by Kiki. And this is published by the Children's Universe. So I'll show you a few of the pages. The artwork is beautiful. And this was first published in 1992, which is the year I was born, actually. Which seems very fitting. Yeah, there is a cover, but I never had the cover. At least I don't remember. And I have one more thing that I forgot to bring, so I'm gonna just pause and bring that. Okay, so this is the last thing that I have. This is beautiful container. Don't know if container's the right word, but it's all 3D with these ribbons all across, all around, and these roses and an angel on top. And inside I put some dried lily petals, and then sorry, these little ballerina earrings. Not earrings. This is a brooch. Sorry, a brooch. A pin to pin to pin. So when my grandmother was little, she ballet for a little bit, but she said she wasn't graceful enough. But when she did start, her mother gifted these to her. I have never worn these, just because like they're too precious to me, but I should. I'm just kind of scared that I'll lose them or something will happen. I miss my grandmother very much, but I'm so thankful to have the memories that I did get to share with her. One of my favorites was when she and I were painting together by the window, and I was looking at a magazine photo and just painting the scenery, and she was painting on all her wooden spoons that she got from Goodwill. We go to Goodwill a lot. I think she and I okay, it's okay, but I think she and I were very similar because we had similar hobbies. We're very relaxed, a laid back kind of people. We like to paint, and I like to do scrapbooking and collect things and make things from the collections. And also interior decorating. She was amazing. And it was almost like every time we would go over to her place, it was always a little different here and there. And I remember my cousins who were younger than me. They knew exactly where all the sweets were, because in some of the containers, like in like a jar or a little box like this, she would keep candy for the boys, my cousins, and like their favorite candies, and like they would look at me and give me a little wink and open something and be like, ah, or they would be disappointed because she would rearrange the candies, but then like they would find a whole new like set, somewhere else, like in a whole different jar, or just like a new jar of new candy refill. New stock. She'd also make collages of all her photographs, but from when my dad and his brothers were children, and she would mix all the photographs, and it was so fun to see like my cousin as a baby next to like his dad as a baby in the collages, and she would frame them, and they were all around her house. And I remember sometimes in the morning, so she used to be a very heavy smoker. There were cigarettes everywhere in the house, like boxes of cigarettes, like one in the bathroom, one by the couch, one in the kitchen, one on the table, like everywhere. And I remember one morning she was having her morning smoke, and I walked outside and I freaked her out because she hadn't heard me, and she was just like watching the birds. I felt bad, but it was kind of funny. But she had stage 3 lung cancer, but she recovered miraculously, and it was quite amazing. And obviously she quit smoking, and she was never one to really exercise much, because she said she wasn't athletic and she was always chubby. But towards the end, she was going to swimming classes every day, I think. I forgot what my dad told me, but I unfortunately, unfortunately it doesn't even cover how I feel, but because I haven't seen her in the last 3 years and I can't go to her or my family, like, this death kind of hits me in a different way, because it's almost like surreal because I'm not there, and there's a big physical distance. There are moments that I forget that she's gone, and I wish I could be with my dad and my family right now, but in times of COVID, and I've got 2 kids, it's kind of like I have a newborn, so a newborn and a 3-year-old, so almost 3-year-old. It's kind of a difficult situation to go be with them, but I will visit her soon. They're going to bury her where, sorry, I'm having a hard time talking about this now, but they're going to put her with her mother actually in Saint Catharines. There's a funeral home, and they do other things there too, but my great-grandmother, her ashes are, my grandmother put her ashes there, and so they're gonna put my grandmother there too, with my great-grandmother. And I guess since my great-grandmother died, since then my grandmother was painting cards, and she would send them over to the place here in New York. I'm gonna link them actually. My father also wrote a beautiful obituary for her. So I think he and my grandmother are particularly close. And yeah, my grandmother was a healer. She knew so many people. She had traveled to Tibet. She learned all forms of healing, and like I mentioned earlier, she was a Reiki master. I'm learning Reiki myself, but I wish I could have learned something from her, but I honestly believe there's something, a big part of her inside me, like her magic, and I miss her so much, and I think I'm gonna start crying. I really want to write something for her obituary, but I haven't been able to. Like every time I do, it's just like rambles and it doesn't make sense, and then I just get too emotional and I cry. So this is actually very therapeutic for me, and maybe making this video will help me. Oh, my baby. My husband's with my baby right now, so it's okay, but I'm gonna end the video here, and I'm just very blessed and thankful to have these physical things as well, but just the memories and the gifts that she's given me through her personality and her stories. And I really selfishly would I do want more time with her. I wish I had, but no, I am grateful for this, and I love her very much. And right now I have the window, it's so dirty, you guys, from the pollen, but there's pigeons on that tree, and I'm just looking at the pigeons and the beautiful blue sky, and thinking of my dear grandmother and her mother. I love you, and I miss you.